24 Combined Capital Community Transportation Program Grant application. Ms. Alm, if you'd like to.
So the purpose of today's event with the public hearing is to make the public aware that we will be in the process of getting approval to apply for the Community Transportation Program funding, which is combined capital. And just to reiterate, what we're asking for today is as the applicant will be seeking permission to apply for fiscal year '24 Public Transportation Program Combined Capital Funding in the amount of $148,384 with a required local match of $14,839.
Is there any public comment?
So we do have one individual signed up.
Let's see. Mr. Arts, would you like to?
I'm not really sure what all this grant includes, what the county will be asking for or be spending the money on, but just in general, I think it's really important at this time for all of us to consider transportation in relation to the future. We have two things going for us, I think, right now is we have the greenhouse gas effect from our fossil fuel burning vehicles, and we also are seeing that the trend in vehicles is now toward electrifying. And I think that it's really important for the commissioners and the public transit director to think about those things, about the future of our transportation system, and do everything that we can at this time, starting at this time, and in the future to convert our transportation fleets from fossil fuel to electric. And it would be nice to have the money, of course, to replace everything all at once and really get a big jump on this, but I realize that isn't possible. So I think the people at Paris Island, the Marines there, have come up with what I consider a good system that everybody could keep in mind. They call it the art of the small, where something that they realize is going to have to be done in the future is, let's see, where they can anticipate future needs and work on those one step at a time. In their case, the sea level is rising, and they have to rebuild their road systems, but they're not, doing it all at once. They're waiting till something needs to be replaced, and then they substitute in some more futuristic, looking ahead to the future and what they replace it with. So that's what I'm advocating for here, that the commission looks to the future in replacing the fleets of vehicles that they're using now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any more public comments? Make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous adjournment. All right. Now we'll move to calling the regular Board of Commissioners meeting to order. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda? Motion. Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Shows unanimous ayes. Moving on to approval of minutes. Hope you guys, commissioners, have had a chance to look over previous minutes.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve the work session minutes, the 7th regular meeting of the 15th, organizational meeting, as well as the regular meeting on the 6th. All 19 pages as presented. Second.
All right. Do we have all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous approval of all the minutes. Moving on now to the chairman report. This past week, I attended the initial instructions on governing. It's a 2-day class that I went to over in Asheville and had a good time. Learned a lot, procedural wise and so forth. So, looking forward. I'll be attending the chairman's meeting in January to learn a little bit more and hopefully run these super efficiently. And that's all I have for this week. Does anyone else have anything to report? Report. Todd?
No report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Agenda pulled up. Waiting on Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, County Manager report, please.
Yes, sir, I apologize, that was
No worries.
that was the sheriff. So I thought I might take that cloak off.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I hope everybody's doing well today. You should have in front of you it's a brief county manager's report. And what I would ask that if you as individual board members just have things that you'd like to be updated on a monthly basis, just let me know. Shoot me an email, ask me, and I can include it in these county manager reports to the board. I'm just following at this point just traditional what has been done in the past. But if you'd like to have other information, just please let me know. So what you do have included in your packets here is this is information that was requested quite some time ago in regards to just trying to keep up with zoning, planning permits, and also with code enforcement permits. And so as you scroll, when you look at attachments in the report, you see that the November report lists the zoning district. And just so you know, reading this, you can see that it talked about the PIN numbers. And I'm just going to look at the screen. If you look at the screen while I'm looking at the columns, you see PIN numbers, new commercial, the building permit number, the zoning district if applicable, the owner or the business name, the actual work permitted, and then the location. And this, the idea also, when we do have zoning permits and things of that nature, it just gives the board information of what's going on in the county. So if somebody asks you sometimes, what is that building going up in a certain location and so forth, always feel free to give my office a call or code enforcement or planning a call. But also this is just a reference for you also to let you know what's going on. So as you can see, in the month of November, there were no zoning permits issued by the planning department. Code enforcement issued 3 commercial permits and 7 renovation and addition permits. And again, that is the detail of that. The next item of discussion is normally I do try to give just brief overviews of any construction projects going on. These are construction projects that are managed by the county. So you will rarely see things like school projects or SCC projects in here unless there's something that's going to be coming before this board for approval. Sometimes I may throw that in here just to keep you updated of the upcoming processes. So I've thrown some photos in there just from the Animal Rescue Center. It's 98% complete. Punch list should be completed in the month of January. Furniture will be delivered and set up on January 16th. The pen enclosures, and that would be if you look at the pictures and you scroll down to some of the interior. Say these are the pens right now that have epoxy floor and epoxy painted walls there, but what we don't have is the metal fencing, I guess, or gates, however you want to call it. We do have indoor, outdoor, and so all of that will be scheduled to be installed January 24th. Um, Final facility inspections will be scheduled for February. So there's multiple types of inspections that have to take place on this type of facility. Uh, the traditional inspections that you know of, code enforcement, things of that nature for certificate of occupancy. But there's other inspections that have to come from the state, this being an animal control center. So we have other permits that we have to abide by before we open up the facility itself. Just wanted to throw in a few pictures to the board. Um, Again, it is complete. We are looking at 98% completion. As you're aware, this facility has seen delays, multiple delays, mainly related around anywhere from, I'll give you, for example, our original superintendent passed away of COVID to significant supply chain delays. The metal building package was 6 months delayed. It can go on and on and on in regards to the mainly what we've ran into is ultimately supply chain issues and then also pandemic issues because this project does go back to the height of the pandemic itself. As you can see, this project is located at the what's known as the Green Energy Park. What you do have here is a picture of the main facility itself. Let everybody know where I'm pointing here. There will be a community room there. With that community room, that is able to be secured off from the rest of the facility, so that room could be used after hours and things of that nature. We do have to the left of the facility is the intake portion of that, and that's where you get to this picture to the right. This is where animals will go through an intake process in which we have what we're calling, I guess, lack of better terms, a sally port, where we have a covered area to bring in animals in. So that is this area here. And then behind, we do have outdoor pens too that are behind. And so there's just fencing showing that. Just real quick showing you, they're just finalizing finishes in there. This is the front entrance. That's the community room right there that I was speaking of. There will be a closure here so that community room can be closed off from the rest of the facility. This just gives you some highlights here. This is the cat enclosure areas. We have multiple of these for cat rooms. And then just wanted to give you an idea. We do have rows and rows of these pens, for lack of better terms, where the animals or dogs will be kept. And we are waiting for the installation of the enclosures themselves. You do see in my notes that walking trails and dog park areas were not completely stabilized with grass prior to winter. Just a reminder, at the top of the closed landfill, we do have walking trails, and I just threw in some pictures. I went up there yesterday evening and just grabbed these are very recent pictures. We do have it's 24 mile, 30 mile walking trail up here, and I just wanted to show you we're not stabilized there, so before we start allowing people to, people don't necessarily always stay on the tracks themselves. This is a closed landfill. We have to keep it stabilized and grass on top of it. That's part of our permitting requirements. And so we really do need to get it more stabilized before we allow traffic up there. I just wanted to show a couple of pictures. This is a interesting view up here. You do have views of basically the rock quarry itself. But then on the other side, you do have just pure natural views from the area. It is a, I believe it'll be a popular place for people to go walking. Scrolling down, we do have a dog park. This is the entrance to the dog park area itself. and wanted to just kind of show you this to the right. It's just walking even further into the dog park. This is a different level than the top. If you drive by there now, when you go into the Green Energy Park or the SRC, you can see this fencing just right up on the hill there. Ultimately, what you can see is as you walk down this entry point, you eventually get to where I do need to get. It still has to be stabilized more. There is a small dog park area, but I took this picture from the top to the right just to show you the scale. You see, that's a bench right there. And there's a bench at the top here, and so ultimately, just wanted to show you the scale of the dog park itself, which is significantly larger than the Mark Watson Park. Now, I will tell people this facility, if you go in and let your dog go, then you need to have the ability to go capture your dog. I mean, grab your dog. This is not a flat piece of property, and this park itself will be available for. If you look, this is ADA accessible. We will have an ADA parking spot here. We can get you all the way to the main entrance here, and we have the ability ADA to get you all the way to the entry point to the dog park. But the reality is if you are in need of ADA accessibility and you utilize this facility, then you do need to have the ability. Your dog needs to come back to you, basically. And so, but this will be a much larger facility than what the public is used to. The next item, and anybody ever wants, please interrupt me if you have any questions. Next item is the phase one transition of the aquatic center has taken place. That phase one, basically, if you recall, if you've been by there, a new parking lot's been built on the backside of the Colby Recreation Center. Parking lot with curbing. We are getting the lighting. If it hadn't been worked out, we basically had to create a whole new entry point in order for people to utilize that facility during construction. So that transition has taken place, and the new fire lane is open. And we were able to, if you utilize that facility, we're able to double that fire lane as a continuation of the existing walking track. So you can still go out and utilize the rest of the facility and have a loop all the way around so people can walk and utilize it relatively as they used to. And we were able to use that fire lane just eventually. It is used just for fire truck access, but right now it's being used for people to as a walking track. We've done things such as the fire lane opposite the main parking area now has been peeled up. We've done things such as installed the pumping station, and we've hooked up the sewer lines to the force main. And ultimately, test pits have been dug out and evaluated. Test pits for it's about an 18-foot deep pit that we're testing for water and rock and things of that nature. Now, we did spend quite a bit of money prior to bidding this project out for geo work, where we were doing borings and things of that nature. So we felt like we had a good concept of what we may or may not run into, but the reality is you don't know until you peel it up and dig the hole. And so far we found what we anticipated, and so the truth of this will really be revealed in the next few months. I mean, as we are going out, they'll start on the curbing on the what's the old parking lot area. So they'll start on that area has a couple things. It has standard building footprint where you'll do footers and pour concrete. Essentially, we build the walls up and so forth. But then obviously we have two pools, and the two pool areas is the area that we'll start seeing in the next couple of months. Once that starts getting when it starts getting dug out, then we will start truly understanding what's underneath that earth, underneath the ground there. And so hopefully what we find is the rock that we've anticipated, and then find that the water that we've anticipated is there. You know, if there's additional issues there, we do have a contingency. We do have built-in prices for this work. So when you bid this work out, you do put aside a certain amount of money because you anticipated running into certain quantities. But we go ahead and price out all the quantities so that we're not negotiating, rock removal and fixing water issues later during the contract, we've negotiated all this out for a price per quantity. So hopefully we'll be in a good position here in the next few months to truly understand environmentally what's underneath the ground. Yes,
I
sir.
would like to say that the sediment control traps that they made are definitely working.
Yes, sir.
With all the rain we had last week, they're full to the top,
Yes, sir.
and that's a lot of water in there.
Next item is domestic violence shelter. Tomorrow we are starting we had visited a couple of shelters, we meaning the Center for Domestic Peace, nonprofit organization, and myself and architects have visited a couple of sites. We are meeting tomorrow in this facility here to truly start planning the schematic phases of this. We've got to go back. If you recall what's been shown to you last week, what I showed to you was just the footprint on the property and where it's going to be located. What hasn't been done is we haven't truly created the schematic inside those facilities. We started the process of, we had the piece of property available. We were trying to figure out the biggest footprint we could put in that property. If anybody's ever been over there, that property is a lot tighter than it. Anything on paper looks larger than what it really is out on site. And so now we'll start, all of our estimates were based upon, if you've ever worked with an architect, they do square foot and footage estimates. They can do the best they can, but until you finalize the schematic phase of it, you really don't have the true accurate estimate. So we'll go through a schematic process in the next few months, get to a point where we update our cost estimates, and from there, that'll allow us to, I'll be reporting this to the board as this comes along, that'll allow us to make the decisions to move forward with construction documents. Construction documents, a lot of you are aware of this, but I'm stating this for you if you're not aware, and I'm stating it for the public. Schematics are not construction documents. Schematics are exactly that. It's basically drawing out the rooms on a piece of paper so that you can understand the size of the rooms and the flow and things of that nature. Flow of your customers, flow of internal personnel, things of that nature. Construction documents are much more complicated, and you've ever seen it. The plans themselves roll up to be about that thick around, when you roll them out. And then the specifications are generally a thick book like this, and it's just requirements that as a governmental unit, we have to go through all this process. That'll, hopefully in the next few months, we'll be in a position to pull the trigger on a couple of things. One is updating the schematics and cost estimates, and then hopefully, if we choose to moving forward with the actual construction documents, that'll allow us to finalize surveying and finalize the needs for the property. So, and all this will be brought back to you when there's any changes or updates. Next is the contract with Equinox to design the master splash pad. The project schedule, it's very small, I apologize, but that's how it was given to me. The project schedule is included in the packets. Basically, the project will be ready to bid. I was hoping we could go faster than this, but it's just, everybody is so busy right now, including architects, including contractors. Hopefully, we'll have construction documents ready to go out to bid in August or September. So,
With the construction documents going out in August, September, do we think that this project will be done in spring of '24?
yes, hopefully it wouldn't be more of a. Hopefully, we could do something to this. If you do August, hopefully it could be a 6 months to 8 month project. But I think I need to get the construction documents. Currently we're surveying and things of that nature. I make that statement based on not knowing all the details of the project at this point. Yes, the goal would be to try to have this open for that next summer. Yeah. What we can do too is we'll just have to look at the condition of the existing pool. We've been putting Band-Aids on it and so forth. Last year we had difficulty opening it because of we didn't have lifeguards. We could not find lifeguards. So we'll attempt to provide services again next summer if we're if we find the capability to do so. And then the Fall of Whittier Park, I'm still waiting to get a project schedule on that project, and I'll bring that before you. And then finally, just a reminder to the board, we do our upcoming holiday schedule other than emergency and safety operations. The county will be closed Friday, December 23rd, Monday, December 26th, Tuesday, December 27th, and then Monday, January 2nd. And I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, and hopefully everybody be safe and have joyous occasions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the board? Moving on now, we'll go down to our finance report for November.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have any comments?
There's no one signed up, Mr. Chairman. It's a public comment.
Any additional public comments? Moving on now to Ms. Fox and the finance report from November.
Good afternoon. I'll go over the highlights for the month of November. The general fund revenues collected to date is $38,168,057. That's 46.32% of budget. So it's over 4.65% for the average for the year. The general fund expenditures to date is $32,565,047, and that's at 40.34% of budget. The revenues at this point are $5,603,011 more than the expenditures. The ad valorem taxes collected to date, $27,446,687. That's 64.68% of budget. The motor vehicle taxes collected, $634,762. It's 36.10% of budget. And the prior year taxes collected are $214,548. That's 30.63% budget. We received the sales and use tax distribution. That amount was $1,908,999 for the month of November, which represented August sales. That amount's 9.51% more than we received in November of last year. So we're still seeing that trend of increases. The Article 46 distribution was $222,667, and that Article 46 is for public education. The average increase for the fiscal year again was 9.71%. The landfill disposal fees collected, $1,858,712. That's 63.91% of budget. And the prior year landfill disposal fees, $30,603. That's 38.25% of budget. We track some of the growth revenues that we're seeing. We track planning and subdivision, code enforcement, environmental health, and register deeds. And at this point of the year, each of the categories are above where we estimated them to be. So we're still seeing that growth. The general fund contingency balance at the end of November, $1,256,962.84. I'll just go through and talk a little bit about some of these other pages since it's the first time some of you may have seen them. The income statement for general fund, this lists all the revenues collected as well as each department and their budget and their expenses for the month and year to date. We have other funds that's reported, and a list of all of those for the balance sheets are attached. And the same with the other income statements for the various funds. And then we have a project fund for each project that we've got ongoing. This one, you can see the Cashiers Glenville Recreation Project. And the expenditures are set aside in the finance source. And no expenditures have been made on that project. And same for Whittier Park project. And we have capital projects fund. That's where the human services project is listed. That's for the planning for the homeless shelter and the construction for the Center for Domestic Peace facility will be. Have the indoor pool facility, and you can see the revenues and the expenses to date on the facility. And then the balance at the end of the month. This is the Dillsburg Complex Project Fund. Same with it, project expenses to date and the balance at the end of the month. Greenway Project, we have no expenses this year and the balance. This is a SEC Health Science Building Fund. That's project's basically completed. We just received the last payment on the EDA grant, and there's $176,000 left in it today. And then the School Improvements Fund. The only project we have outstanding with them is the security upgrades. And this, you can see the current year and total to date for the project and the balance at the end of the month. I'd be glad to answer any questions on the report.
So to note to the board, these funds, these construction funds that she just went over, they survive fiscal years, budget years. So these funds that she's showing you at the end, they continue until the project is complete. And so I just wanted to point that out to you. So that is separate from the general fund in that sense.
Questions from the board?
On, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
On the school improvement fund, the security, approximately how much of that has been in Article 46? Is it around 4 million? Is that
$3,400,000.
3.5 million? So that's Article 46 money that has gone for the schools.
Correct.
Any other funds that we have used for that?
No, this is the first project that we use those funds for public schools.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? Thank you, Ms. Fox.
You're welcome. Got 2 budget amendments. The first one's the general fund budget amendment. It's receiving money from state federal administration, $5,357.28, one to the foster care program. And we received a grant for Alliance for Green Heat for a firewood grant. That amount was $8,254, and it will be going to the Department of Aging for capital projects. And the second one, the Economic Development Fund, it's for sale of fixed assets. The amount's $738,466, and it's designated for future appropriation, and that's from the sale of the Innovation Bruin building. Be glad to answer any questions on those.
What could we use that money for, Ms. Fox?
It could be used for any economic development project.
Thank you, Ms. Fox.
Thank you.
Moving on, we'll recognize Ms. Henson for tax collector and refund reports for November.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So the tax collections for the month of November for the 22 taxes were $8,581,176. The delinquent taxes collected for the month were $68,900. The total deposited for the month of November was $9,054,166.11. And also for the month, there were overpayment refunds of $59,946.52 and releases of $15.92. Any questions? Thank you.
Questions from the board? Thank you. On to new business. First up is going to be fiscal year 2024 Combined Capital Program Grant Application for Transit. And Ms. Allen.
Good afternoon. So just to reiterate, the Community Transportation Program Grant application that we are seeking permission to apply for. The North Carolina Department of Transportation Integrated Mobility Division, they handle grant applications with the FTA, Federal Transit Administration, for mass and community transportation programs. We previously applied for both 5311 administrative and 5310 operating funds with the approval from the Board of Commissioners in October of this year. However, due to the recent delay in the state's vehicle contract, the fiscal year 24 combined capital grant application was postponed, and that's why it is in a separate meeting. So the Combined Capital Program allows community transportation systems opportunity to apply for funding for capital projects, allowing IMD to fund the approved projects with the type of funds that best suit the project. We are asking for permission to apply for a total of $148,384 with required local match of $14,839. The breakdown for that funding, as listed, we have a raised roof van with a lift, wheelchair lift, propane conversion for that van, the vehicle lettering and logos for that van as well, a 13 vehicle camera system for the entire fleet, and 5 computers. And with that, just understanding that the federal amount and state amount together, that means that 90% of these capital projects would be funded, and we would only be required the 10% of the match. So again, what we're asking for today is seeking permission to apply for the fiscal year 24 Public Transportation Program Combined Capital Funding in the amount of $148,384 with the required local match of $14,839. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Do I have a motion for item 4?
Make a motion that we approve the capital budget loan for the raised roof van, the propane conversion, the lettering, the 13 vehicle camera system, and also 5 computers.
I'll second.
It's open for discussion. Any discussion from the board? All right. Chair requests the clerk call roll call.
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Letson.
Yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 5, which is a request for grade adjustments and salary.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, before we move on, I would encourage anyone who is interested in understanding the details of how these vehicles are chosen. These vehicles are actually If you recall, the reason this grant process was delayed is because the state process of actually developing their state contract for the purchase of these vehicles were delayed. And so I would encourage anybody who's interested in understanding these vehicles, we have to select from the vehicles that are through this state contract process. And so in essence, vehicle selection is really dictated by the state contract. And it makes sense because they're funding through the federal government 90% the cost of these. So I would encourage Ms. Alm and anyone to reach out to Ms. Alm to have discussions in regards to how these vehicles are selected and what the real options are in regards to types of the vehicles and so forth, because there are limitations, I guess is my point, that could actually be looked at. So yes, sir. The next item of discussion is this is something that's come before the board at a work session. And this is enclosed in the packets are two items. One, as you can note, is the first page is the original grade classification plan for the sheriff department or sheriff office employees. And the second page is the requested revision. So the action requested before this board today is to adopt the Jackson County Sheriff Classification Salary Range by grade plan as presented, that's dated December 20th, 2022.
Do we have a motion to adopt the grade adjustment?
I make a motion to adopt the grade adjustment.
Do we have
Second.
any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, if you'll request or do a roll call for us, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Chairman Letson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Chair states that the motion carries unanimously.
And for anybody who's watching the YouTube video, if they wanted more details of these discussions, I would encourage them to go to our previous work session meeting, and they would be able to listen and hear all the discussions in regards to this new plan that's just been adopted by the board. Next item is just a follow-up under new business, the new meeting schedule. This does translate down to the legislation portion of this. And so as discussed at the work session, what you have enclosed in your packets is the resolution setting the regular meeting schedule under your legislation portion of the packet. And just going through and reading through it, you can see that it's stating that the Commissioner Board will hold its regular meeting on the first Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m., the third Tuesday of each month at 6:30 p.m. at the Justice Center in this room here, Suite A201, and that you also hold a work session the second Tuesday of each month at 1 p.m.
Do we have a motion to adopt Resolution R22-27, setting the regular meeting schedule?
Make a motion that we accept the schedule.
Second.
Any discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, if you'll do a roll call.
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Letson.
Yes. Chair states that the motion carried unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Moving on to appointments, for the Cullowhee Planning Council, we have 2 appointments vacant.
I'm going to table mine. I have someone that's supposed to be applying, send their application in. So.
Mr. Stribling? Still looking? Okay. Moving on to the next, the Health Board. We have, excuse me, 1 at-large vacancy for the Health Board. Does anyone? Shelley has Ms. Caraway has one that may be coming forward.
Application process and so forth. Okay. So just confirming with Ms. Winchester that they have gone through the application process and been vetted. So it's up to this board and whether or not you wish to consider this nomination.
I'll make a motion to accept recommendation of Kyle Clayton for Ms. Caraway.
Do we have a second? Second. Roll call, or is this unanimous? Okay. I'll request the clerk do a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Chairman Lightson.
Yes. Passes unanimously. Next is the Historic Preservation Commission. We have one reappointment.
I spoke with, I left her a voicemail a couple of weeks ago, and I missed her call when she called me back, but she said she would like to continue on the board if that's acceptable.
Is there a motion to allow Ms. Meister to continue?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please roll call.
Commissioner Stribling, Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Lightson.
Yes. Passes unanimously. For the Planning Board, we have 4 available for reappointment and 1 vacant. Do I have a motion to reappoint Ms. Moss, Mr. Dunford?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Shufelt and Ms. Crisp have served their limits,
Correct.
so they're not available,
They're
so
not
those are
available.
the two.
Okay. So we have 2 available, excuse me, Ms. Moss and Ms. Dunford, and then we'll have 3 available. Do I have a motion to reappoint Ms. Moss and Mr. Dunford?
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Chairman Lightson.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
The vacant one, is that your former position?
it is.
Okay.
I resigned at our last meeting.
All right. And at the appropriate time, I have a recommendation. I don't think they've done their, it's a former planning board member for years, wants to get back on it from District 4.
Okay,
I also have a recommendation for the planning board
okay.
at a later time.
And then lastly, Tuckasegee Water and Sewer Authority has recommended that Mr. Mal has 1 remaining term and recommended that he be reappointed.
I also spoke to him, and he's comfortable with that, wants to continue serving.
Do we have a motion to reappoint Mr. Mall?
I make a motion that we extend Mr. Mel's reappoint to this board.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Stribling,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Bryson,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Lightson.
Passes unanimously. Moving on, do we have any questions from the press? With no need to go into closed session today, we do have some regular meeting announcements. January 3rd will be held at 6. Our work session on January 10th will be held at 1. And our regular meeting on January 17th will be held at 6:30 p.m. Do we have a motion for adjournment?
Make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Have a Merry Christmas.
Everybody have a Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Yep. Merry Christmas,
Merry-
everybody.
Christmas.